regular stop for SEO Chicks. It's Thursday the 17th of September and it's SES London and I'm interviewing Ralph Pigtmeyer, also known as Fantomaster. So Ralph, would you mind just giving us a little bit of a quick overview of what exactly is Fantomaster.com and maybe just some of your key tools?
Well, Fantomaster.com was incorporated in Belgium in 1999. This followed a 1.5 years phase of development and research. It's run by myself, obviously, plus my old school buddy Dirk Brockhausen, who is himself a doctor of physics and has worked for SAP and IBM in Switzerland and all that. So he's more the techie guy really behind it, whereas I'm more the strategic and let's say customer liaison and language guy. We started off with search engine optimization on the cloaking front, meaning IP delivery, because that's what we found was the most effective for the stuff we wanted to do. So we developed various cloaking tools, and our flagship product then became the Fantomas Shadow Maker, which creates entire shadow domains, which are self-contained, just cloaked and redirecting human traffic elsewhere. We also have the dubious privilege of this being the first or only tool Google ever mentioned as a no-no in their webmaster guidelines. At least they did our trademark term, shadow domains. It's no longer on there anyway, but it does go to show that we probably haven't done everything wrong. And in recent years, we have shifted focus a bit towards other stuff as well. We do a lot of commissioned work as well. Probably most underrated product is our Fantomas Spider Spy, which is the world's most largest and most comprehensive database of verified search engine spiders. It's been built since '99. It's updated every 6 hours. Not just for cloaking purposes, it's also for traffic analysis and stuff like that. And now we are focused on a link building with our 10linksaday.net link building network, and shifting ever more into customized content creation. We've just launched customizedcontentcreation.com, which is a service where you can basically order content, obviously. And that's one of the reasons why I'm hanging around at the UK all the time now, because we have British editors whom I will hire and train, and this, that, and the other. I'm working for a lot of UK agencies as well. And that's where I think the future is, because if you own the content, you own the web.
True. So in terms of customized content creation, is that purely a human exercise, or is there an element of automated content production in that?
It's a strong element of human input, but then after that, once the human input has been conducted and checked and quality controlled and all that, then it's fully automated. It's all what we do is essentially, in a typical scenario, a client will approach us and say, well, I want to content, scalable content on, say, some topic, be it online gambling or where to buy red shoes online or whatever it may be. And then we commission a copywriter to actually write the original article, what we call the archetype. Will be something like 350 to 400 words typically. We submit this to client for approval. Once client approval is in, then we start the editing process. And this is still, it's human based, but with a lot of tools, including our own developed tools, proprietary tools, where editors will upmark this, and every editor has a supervisor. The supervisor has a controller, and at the end we'll check this for quality. So because what we want to produce is actually white hat stuff, actually legit content that actually reads okay, that's human readable, grammatically correct, no typos, and varied enough. That's just as important, because of course you want to avoid duplicate content issues, and that is a lot of that is actually affected by our software, because the human part is actually creating the language variants, whereas the software attends to structural variants as well, like letting the links float across the body text of an article, or manipulating the number of paragraphs an article has, this, that, and the other, and actually linking, live linking to keywords, anchor text, and whatever.
Uh-huh.
And what we get in the end, we guarantee a variance or the similarity of over 80% compared to the original article, which is
Okay.
more than your average human writer or copywriter or editor will actually do. And compared to each other, the articles are in excess of 65% variance.
That's interesting. So a couple of things that you mentioned there, in particular, the word automation. Um, when it comes to a lot of tools or a lot of methodologies employed by Fantomaster.com, and certainly how it might be seen in the wider industry, automation is a bit of a bad name, or it's a bit of a dirty word, which almost seems at odds with other industries, for example, manufacturing, automotive industries, where automation, full stop, is the holy grail of business process, business performance, efficiency. Why do you think that automation per se is at such odds with the search engine industry?
I've been wondering about that for years because, excuse me, you can see this actually. I'm going on a bit on a tangent now, but it actually relates to your question. When you see the debate about white hat and black hat, or what used to be ethical and non-ethical SEO in the 90s, it was all about there's some religious element to it.
Moral or
A
not? Yeah.
moralistic view saying, which basically said that if it's done by humans, it's okay. If it's done by machines, it isn't. And that's actually the take that search engines are still adopting to this very day. So it's really very much informed by quite curious pseudo-humanist view of the world, as if human generated stuff is by default got to be better than automation generated stuff. Well, maybe it is usually, but on the other hand, there's a concept like content spam, for instance. Like if you what we do with our content creation thing, you hire out that job to say editors, to do copywriters, let's say in India or wherever, and you ask them to write up 500 articles on payday loans. Essentially, it's the same. You're just using humans as if they were
Automatons.
right, automatons, as
Yeah.
if they were machines, and I think that's very much a generation thing. I don't think that in 10 or 15 years' time anybody will bother anymore.
True. I think that's very interesting, and there's also there's implicit moral issues in resourcing in developing countries as well.
Right, right. Problem we had when we commissioned articles to India was, well, they're pretty cheap. Actually, knowing what was coming, I've lived for a year in Pakistan myself, and so I'm a bit familiar with Indian English, and I knew what the problems are on that field, that score. So we hired a Canadian company to actually do it because they said they were going to do the final proofreading. Well, they didn't. So I had to rewrite this entire stuff myself, and that made it actually more expensive.
Yeah.
And if I'd gone to a proper, British or Canadian or American copyright in the first place, because my time is precious. So what we said then is, okay, let's automate this as much as we can. And now we are already undercutting them because, if you order articles with us, it depends on the volume, but something like less than 30 cents per article, no Indian hack can compete with that.
Yeah, absolutely.